All right, so this is our very first episode with Unfinished Lifestyle. And by the way, Desi did a really good job.
Yeah.
Room.
Oh my gosh. It looks like we could not have done this ourselves.
No, there's no way.
No.
So she did a really good job. So shout out to her. But our first episode, first of all, thank you guys for all tuning in our first episode. But we want to talk about how we started, why we started, and I'm also going to touch base on why you didn't want me to be a
I
bodybuilder.
knew that was coming.
And we're also gonna touch on why you didn't want me to be a coach as well. Yeah.
I mean, I still supported you.
Right,
I didn't,
right.
yeah, but we'll just talk about my insecurities about you.
Yeah. We do that.
I knew
This
that was coming. I literally practiced in the car. I was like, okay, what questions is Yo gonna ask? And I
Yeah.
was like, he's probably gonna talk. Probably gonna.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people know of my story and why I do what I do and why I started, right? But a lot of people don't see behind the scenes stuff that me and you are having conversation, that the tough conversation that we had behind the scene. And I remember we were down in Mexico back in 2018. And that was the first trip that I did with you in Mexico. And I was asked by someone if I wanted to do a show in the future. And I said, I think so, probably, I think this is something that I might want to do. I might want to pursue, but I don't know if I wanted to tell Jess just yet. And I wasn't planning on telling you yet. And you found out. And me and you had a very extensive conversation on the beach. I remember that back in 2018 and 2018. Yeah. And I remember, we hired a coach, right, earlier that year together.
Yeah.
And then I decided to take it to the next level. And the only way up was to do a show. Like I wanted to do something that I've never done. I wanted to do something that, challenged me in such a way that I don't, it's fear for me, right? And so I was asked so many times, and the coach that I had at the time was like, "Bro, you should do a show." And I said, "Get the hell out of here! That is the dumbest thing you've ever said to me. Like, why would you say something to me that I've never
And we
thought
didn't even
about?"
really know about it. I
No,
mean, we kind of did, but didn't.
I know nothing about bodybuilding
Yeah.
at all. I don't know that I had no idea we have a show going on here in Utah, or shows here in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the coach that we had before was the one who introduced me in a lot of different things in bodybuilding, which is, what I'm grateful for as well. But and then I remember back to Mexico, we were on the beach and you found out and you confronted me about it. You confronted me about that I was trying to hide that conversation. But in reality, I didn't know when to tell you or when what I wanted to.
Or how to tell me. Because I told you, I remember when we started with the coach, I was like, look, I'm all for it, but I just don't. And I knew about it from my coworkers at the time, because my best friend at the coffee shop at the time, she was thinking about doing it, and then her best friend was doing a show, so she, I had kind of heard about it, and so I approached you when we got the coach, and I was like, hey, this competition, I don't like the lifestyle, I don't want you to do it, so that was kind of my thoughts, but I was also very blind to it. I only know a few things, and I only heard a couple of bad things about it, and it was from a girl's perspective. So,
And what was the bad thing?
just the body dysmorphia, and I think that was the biggest thing, is the body dysmorphia. And I was like, I just don't want that for you. And that's why you were hiding it from me, because I told you from the get-go, I don't want you to do that. So that's why you hid it from me, and then I found out that you were telling other people that you were gonna do a show, and you didn't tell me, and I was like, "Wait, what?" This was the one thing that I asked, And then you were having conversations with other people other than me, your wife, and I was like, "Well, that's not cool." So that's why we talked about it, and then we are, so
Yeah. That was a hard conversation for me because I knew you did not want me to do it. I knew, you had this prejudgment of what a bodybuilder bodybuilders are and how they are, right? But because we hear such of horrid stories when it comes to being a bodybuilder and being that world of just it's all about how you look and things like that. So that was to me that was very very difficult conversation to have. And when you confronted me on the beach about it and we had a conversation, you were very upset. And then I think
But I think I was more upset at the fact that you like hiding it from
yeah
me
yeah
and talking to other people about it,
yeah
which is understandable now, like
yeah
because they were in the world and they knew more about it. So you
yeah
were getting like curious about it. So now I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. But back then I was like, excuse you?
yeah. So that was hard, but a couple months later we agreed
Oh,
together.
I think we agreed on the beach. And I was
Did
like,
we?
look, yeah, I was
Okay.
like, look, like if this is something you really want to do, I'm your wife. Like I'm here to support you. So I'll support you. Like I don't agree with it, but I'll support you if this is what you want to do. And then I saw your transformation and I got into it too. Obviously not the competition, but I
Yeah.
got into it too. And I was like, if this is something you love, then yeah, like let's do it. So
Yeah. And that was
and it was just about like me learning about it too. So
yeah, and I think also now after we did, after we agreed and then we did the show, right? I did my first show later that year, October 2018. And then immediately right after that, and I told you that what if I wanted to be a coach? And I remember you were straight up. No, you didn't even think about it. There were no like you did not give me like 5 seconds
right.
to think about it. Is straight no. And I know why you said no, but I want you to talk about that right here and be raw with people because I understand where you're coming from. And for me, I had to come from a negative standpoint of like, okay, how do I prove to someone like yourself that I'm able to do it without those negative stigma of being a fitness coach or a trainer, right? And I know and what I'm talking about, guys, is that when you hear a lot of stories like trainers sleeping with their clients and being this
There's like
they're
a fantasy out there, like all the
yeah
girls, because like fitness trainers look good and they give the girls the support that their husband don't, and like their fitness trainer looks like that, and so it's like
yeah
all of those things. And I had insecurities, and I still do, but like as long as you and I talk about it and we squash those insecurities right off the bat, and so it's
yeah
fine. And if it ever comes up again, then I just tell you
yeah
like, hey, I'm feeling a little insecure. Like, can we resolve this and get it
yeah
squashed now before it goes too far?
we definitely communicated how you feel and how I feel as well, and that was difficult room for me to be in. I'm like, all right, well, how can I prove to you that I'm not that guy, but at the same time, okay, that also proved to you that I can actually do this full time and pursuing this full time. And that was a crazy transition from doing the job that I was doing. And plus I was new, I was learning a lot of different things and that was everything was new to me at the time. And the fact that I did not get your support right off the bat.
You
And
did, but I also
right,
was like, man, I don't know, because like,
it's hard.
and you
I
hear
know.
things
I
like
know.
people that we knew were doing that, and I was
Yeah.
like, look, I don't want that for you. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
your name to be associated with that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want people to think that about our relationship because it had such a bad name already. And so it's like, I don't want that for you. And then, like
Yeah.
that's the doors open, and then girls would be like, oh, well, you know, these friends are doing it, like, maybe he's that kind of person too, and it's like, I didn't want that for you.
And that was difficult because I had to overcome a lot of that insecurity coming from you as well, where I'm like, okay, so how can I prove you that I can do this full time and not be this ass of a person? And because everyone else is doing it, and there was such a stigma behind personal trainers sleeping with their clients, and that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest no for you. I'm like, okay, so what can I do differently? How can I be different? Because I'm not that guy. And it took me a little while to really prove to you that hey, I'm different. I can do this. I'm sure I know there's clients or girls that's going to approach me in any given time because I'm in that industry. but it's all about how I react to their comments and how I, if I'm opening that door, it's game over.
Right.
You know what I mean? So keeping that door shut, knowing that so many people knock on that door, the fact that I'm able to keep it closed and not cross that line was very challenging. I'm not gonna lie, it was very, very challenging because you're in that moment of, I'm surrounding myself with so many beautiful women in terms of coaching, and then on top of that, clients and because
Well, and they're
it's a
so vulnerable with
yeah,
you
yeah,
because
exactly. And
what
clients
you're
are
doing for
vulnerable.
them.
Yeah, clients are vulnerable. So that was, but I had to learn how to be that. Okay, I'm your coach. This is who I am. This is what I do. Yes, you can reach out to me. You can text me at any time. But at some point in time, once you cross that line, oh no, I can't go back. So I never crossed that line. You know what I mean? And so that was, and after a couple of years of that, now it's like, okay, we're good. You know what I mean? And to me, when I
Wait,
would,
wait, wait, a couple years?
it's what, two and a
No.
half years, right?
Well, okay, of our own company, but it didn't take me years to
Oh,
get
no, no,
over
no.
that.
No, no, no. I'm
Okay.
talking,
I was like, "Wait, no, no,
no,
no,
no. Yeah,
no."
yeah. I've
We
earned that.
squashed it pretty quick, and
Yeah,
if I had any issues, like, I bring it to you,
yeah.
and
And
because our
that,
communication's on point, like,
yes, as it
if
was.
I have a problem, I bring it up to you right then
That's
and
true.
there,
Yeah.
and squash it on the spot,
So
so
here we are,
yes.
did my first show, right? And at first you didn't agree to that, but we agreed
But
to
I
it
was cheering
later.
the loudest, I was crying, I
Yeah,
was so
we
proud of
agreed
you.
to it now, and then I did my shows, and then I became I want to become a coach. You said no to that as well, but we agreed to it, and now I am a coach. And fast forward 2 years after that, we created our own company. Now it's called
Gosh.
Unfinished Lifestyle.
Yes.
A lot of people are so enticed with our name because I had a lot of people after we created it. Everybody's like, "Dude, that is such a beautiful, brilliant idea, unfinished lifestyle, because you're never finished with your goals." And I said, "Yes."
Yeah.
And how I came up with that, you remember
Mhm.
when I did my fourth and third and fourth show? I remember I took second again. I took second my first show, second again, and then second again. And I'm like, and then I keep telling myself, I have some unfinished effing business.
Yeah.
And I keep saying that over and over and over. And that was in 2020,
Yep.
right? I did my first show in 2018. I booked 2019. Then I did my second show in 2022.
It was August, the August show, wasn't it?
It
Because
was
then you stepped off
it
and
was
you
actually it was actually the Wasatch show in July.
No, but I thought August was when you were like, "I found our company name and it's
Yeah,
unfinished."
yeah, that was August or September, yeah.
Yeah, and
Because I did
then
2 shows that year,
well, because we launched it the weekend of our anniversary,
which
September.
was Labor Day weekend.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it would have been the August show,
Yeah, after
and
the
then
August show.
and
Yeah.
then we played around with it, and we were like, "Oh, maybe we should do unfinished business or unfinished fitness," and I was like, "No," and then we came up with, "Well, what if we do lifestyle
Yeah,
because it's not I mean, yeah, it's fitness, but lifestyle because it's the lifestyle,
it
like."
is. And there's a couple of things. I looked up unfinished fitness, but it was taken. I'm like, "That's fine. Someone can have it, you can take it." And then I looked up unfinished lifestyle, no one had that name, and we took it. And it was the brilliant idea behind that was because if I put unfinished fitness or bodybuilding or whatever or any anything too aggressive,
Yeah.
right, on the name, then I don't want people to think like, "Oh, you have to be fit to join or you
It
have
can
to
be
be."
intimidating
Yeah,
to
yeah,
some
it's
people.
intimidating factor, especially the wording of it. So when we came up with unfinished lifestyle, it was such a ring to it. It was so beautiful. We picked the color and we did everything. So yeah,
Okay, we didn't pick the color, you picked the color.
I did pick the color. Green is my color. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't know that already. So anyway, so I did that show in July, the Wasatch, when Wasatch became Wasatch.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I did.
Forgot
And
it was
that's
in
when I
July.
was like, I was so pissed because I took second again. And then I did August and I took fifth in August. And because I wanted to do Pittsburgh in September for national, but I never got to that. I just decided to stop prepping. I was done. I was prepping for 6 or 7 months at that point. I'm done. I couldn't do it anymore. And then right after August is when I really start saying unfinished business, unfinished business. And then when push comes to shove, when it's time for us to create a new company and we separate ourselves from the company that we worked with before for 2 years, by the way. We were there for 2 years, and this is something I want to bring up is because that the people and the person that I was working with at the time taught me everything I knew in terms of the business and bodybuilding and I've
Well,
always
they brought us
been
into this
yeah,
world.
yeah, they brought us into this world, so I've always appreciated what they have done for us. I
Mhm.
would never talk badly about what they did for us back then. On the business aspects of it, amazing. But when it comes to the morale and everything else around that, it was too much for me. It was there was too much negativity, too much drama. There was a lot of negative. Unfortunately, there was a lot more negative than it was a positive at that point. And when I was ready to leave and move on with our life and create our own venture, which is the Unfinished Lifestyle, that was September Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, because we were going out of town for our
Yep,
anniversary.
yep. And you were pregnant at the
Yeah,
time,
pregnant, and we were doing our pregnancy announcement too.
right? So it was a lot. It was a lot of things going on.
That was
So
a
we
that was
we
a big weekend.
yeah. So we announced Unfinished Lifestyle, and
Well,
we
so we
announced
we parted from the company, and then I think it was a Thursday, and then Thursday we checked into the hotel. Friday we literally set up everything for the company. We did the website. We like the um we did everything. Like we
yeah,
did the business cards. We got our emails. We registered it like with the state or whatever. So we did it all Friday, and then Saturday we had the baby announcement, and Dusky came up and took our photos, and then
yeah,
we like were doing that all day, and then we went to dinner with him, and then we just took it in, and then Sunday we, hung out and then checked out and went home, and
yeah.
then Monday
We're back on.
or Sunday, I think was the day we announced it, and we were like, "Okay, surprise," and then Monday you went to work as Unfinished Lifestyle,
Exactly.
and it was like,
And by the way,
that was a
guys,
lot.
so just so you guys know, we left the company on Thursday, and by Saturday night, Jess and I are we literally created our company within 24 hours.
Like, everything except the name because we had played
Yeah.
with the name, and so we knew we wanted to leave eventually,
Yep.
and then we had the name, but we had no idea
Nope.
at the time when we figured out the name, we had no idea when we would be leaving, like,
Nope.
when any of that, and then
Yeah. And
so,
for
yeah, like
for for a lot of people out there are listening right now, and if you think about creating a business, you think about how hard it is to create a business. It's actually not. So literally, Jess and I that weekend, we left the company. We went on to our getaway for our anniversary. At that weekend, we literally worked our ass off. We created the name, we got the logo,
Oh, yeah, that
we
yeah.
got the Instagram up and running. We haven't. The only thing that we didn't finalize was the website. We didn't
Well,
we
we
didn't
got it
finalize the
like,
website.
we bought the website name, we
Yep.
just didn't,
Yep.
have the website
We didn't have the
created
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So we got everything created literally that weekend. So when people think about, oh, it must be easy for you. I mean,
I mean, getting it
if
set up was easy, but establishing is where
yeah.
that's the hard part.
And when I left, all my client left with me. All my client was like, "Yep, I'm jumping board with you. Like I'm going with an Unfinished Lifestyle." And that was an easy transition for me because none of them are gonna stay anyway. So and when I switch over, everybody came, and that was and
So it's literally we just changed the name.
when we announced it, and now the rest is history. So it was such a crazy that was a crazy time. It was such a stressful time, and I had a bunch of clients that were doing shows later that October and November. So there was a lot going on at that time, and I couldn't tell you guys like a lot of people that reached out, our friends and some of our families reach out and congratulating us for creating something new, something different. A lot of our friends actually and people that are in this industry was like, dude, I am so glad you left. And I'm like, thank you. And not only that, I got a lot of new things that I didn't know about the previous company that we work with or the people that I work with. There was a lot more negative things that I didn't know about until I left. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like how long did it suffered me from
Yeah, you had people coming up to you and, like, making conversations that, like, never cared to talk to you before, and I was like, because I remember that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is," I mean, it was crazy, like, just like
yeah.
but
So there was I made a lot of new friends. As soon as I left that company, I made a lot of new friends that I didn't think that I was gonna make friends with. and the things that they told me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm glad we left when we left. And now
And we wish them well,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
nothing.
If they, I hope they're doing well. So,
Yeah.
um, and so fast forward now, we have Coach Nick, and we brought in Coach Nick, and we brought in Coach Britt at the time, and and then later on, Peyton came on, and then now we have Marjorie,
And Desi.
and we have Coach Desi as well. So it
Well,
grew.
Britt's no longer here,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
so we
yeah. That's
yeah.
right. Britt's no longer here, but she did an amazing job with our company, with our team to kind of grow with
Yeah,
us.
she
So she
definitely
helped
helped
us.
build
Yeah, she
us.
helped
Mhm.
us grow with that our company as well. And same with Coach Nick. And when Coach Payton came in, that was great too. And now our company just keep growing and growing and growing
It's so crazy.
to the point where we have to possibly have our own facility here in the future. We have to. It gets to the point where that one office that we have right now,
It's
when Des
crowded.
have a client, I have a client, and Nick has a client, and then one time Peyton had a client. No, we were doing consultations out in the open, and I don't like that. And
Yeah, no,
so we
they have to be
have,
private for
yes,
sure.
it has to be private for sure, especially if we do something that we and how we carry our how we coach anyway. But yeah, so we have coaches underneath us now. Unfinished lifestyle now established. It's going up 3 years, coming up this September, which is amazing. And also shout out to Colton. Colton's been there. He's recording this right now. Colton's been there since day one, when Unfinished Lifestyle wasn't even unfinished at the time. Yes, yes, that's right. So I told Colton, I was like, "Hey, man, I want you to be working with us. I want you to be our photographer, videographer." And he's been with me for over a little over 2 years now, working side by side, growing the company. So if it wasn't for Colton with a lot of our social media, I mean, he's been a part of it too,
Yeah.
right? He's been a huge part of it.
He does a lot,
He
like, a
does
lot
he does a
behind the
lot.
scenes.
And I'm needy when it comes to content, so
Oh,
I
you're
text him
needy
and
all
harass
the
him every
time.
day. He was like, "Bro, chill." No, thanks to him as well. Thank you to Patera too. Like Patera did such an amazing job with keeping us at Iron Ground after everything happened. He was such a welcoming person, individual. He was so good
He's
to
a
me
cool
and
guy,
so
yeah.
good to all of our coaches, and he loved that we stayed for a little while, and we were there for about a year or so, I think.
I think something like that, yeah.
I think something like that, and then and then obviously me and Eddie connected. Fast Eddie, huge shout out to him as well, because he was the one that approached me, and vice versa actually, and he told me about that he wanted to create a new gym, like literally a couple of months before I thought about leaving. So me and him actually had that conversation about working together beforehand. And so when everything happens brilliantly, the following summer we moved into FTC, and we've been there ever since. And FTC has been our home since then. We brought a lot of business to FTC, and a lot of our clients love
Oh my gosh,
that
yeah.
that gym. It's such a beautiful environment, beautiful gym
And
here
it's
in
not as
Utah.
intimidating
Mm-mm.
either. I mean, I love Iron Ground, I love Patera, but, that's a powerlifting gym,
It
so a
is a
lot of our
powerlifting
clients
gym.
were very
Yeah,
timid going there. So
yeah,
now at
yeah,
FTC, like, they're not as timid, plus it's not, like, as busy, and it's great. It's
yeah.
great.
And so yeah, FTC has been amazing, and now we have a lot of different trainers there, not only with our company but with other different companies. We're
Yeah.
such a family oriented people in that gym, and everybody knows everybody.
And
So
the dynamic there is so fun,
yeah,
like, if you know who's in there, it's just fun.
yeah, and all of our clients know each other.
It's a
I know, I
community, it's
know,
its
I
own little
know Vanessa's clients, Tika's client. I know Nick's client. I know they know
Cherie.
my client. I know Cherie's client. So it's such a beautiful environment, and that we've created. I know Eddie's client as well, and
Yeah.
vice versa. So, and the environment that we create, there's no drama. There's no negative stigma
Yeah, you
there.
guys are very
Like,
strict on that.
yeah, we're very strict on that. So if you cause drama, you're out. Period. And that's something that something that me and Eddie don't joke around when it comes to that, because we don't have time, we don't have room for drama in that sense of things. So yeah, yeah, that's how Unfinished Lifestyle started, and you've been such a big part of that since day one. I couldn't be so proud of creating something with you, and as now as my wife, as a mom to our little one, and you are our CEO of Unfinished Lifestyle, and also a CEO of Excel Bodybuilding as well. Shout out to Excel Bodybuilding, Matt and Becca as well. Um, it's been an amazing journey, and you've seen the ups and the downs,
All of it.
and especially the downs. I remember our first year coaching,
That was rough.
and that was rough because I barely made any money. And I remember every month, and I want to talk about this. I remember every month that you are that we make that were we that were sorry. I remember every month that we were doing our bills.
Yeah, because I was the only one
Yeah,
working full time because you
yeah,
had quit the other job
mhm,
and you were just coaching. And Nick was one of your first clients and he was paying you like less than $50 a month and had Sebastian, I don't even think Sebastian was paying you. I think
mhm.
he was your very, very first.
He was my guinea pig. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, you had quit your job. I was the only one working. I wasn't making
no,
great money by any means. And we had our house and it
yeah.
was like,
I literally quit cold turkey with my old company,
yep.
and I only had I think around 10 clients at the time, and I was probably making like 1,500 or
I
something like
don't
less
even
than
know.
2,000 a
Yeah,
month
I was
a
like,
year.
I don't even think it was
Yeah, yeah.
that.
And every month you pay the bills, and you said to me every single month, and I remember this. I said, "Babe, I think we need a second job." The next month goes by, same conversation. "Babe, I think you
Because
need a
we
second
were
job."
basically paycheck to
Yep,
paycheck and then some,
yep.
like,
And then I remember 2 months out of that year, our first year, we couldn't pay our car payment, and we were behind, and it dinged both of our credits. And I mean, we paid it, but
we
it
did.
was like, what, 15, 20, 30 days
It was,
late?
like, just barely late.
Yeah. Um, and that and I remember we were sitting in the gas station, and I said to you, and I said, "Babe, I need you to remember this moment." I remember that. I said, um, "Remember this moment. We're never gonna be there ever. Like I'll never be in this moment ever. Like, think about that we couldn't pay our car. We barely made our mortgage payment. Um, we couldn't travel. We couldn't go anywhere that year. I remember that. And I said to you, and I said, just give me some time, but I want you to remember this moment. And
I'm so proud of you.
um, and from that on, in that January 2021, I think. No, 2019 or
Yeah, yeah.
2020. I can't remember. A year after I actually coach, and I was barely making any money, and my referrals started coming in. I remember that, and I remember I think I had my first high month that January. I made the most money that I've ever made that following January, and we were so ecstatic. And then February happened, and then COVID hit.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "What are we gonna do?" But the funny thing was, COVID actually made our business even
Boom.
more because of the stimulus checks that came in,
Yep.
and that was a perfect amount of money for a 12-week program. People come in and they were spending like crazy because they thought, at the
Well,
time the
because at
health
that
was so,
yeah.
health was very, very, very important, and um and when that happened and everything kind of skyrocketed from there, and it hasn't stopped. So first year of our business, I barely make any money. We struggling, we could pay our bills. And the second year that I was coaching full time, I doubled my income. I remember that.
Yeah.
Literally doubled my income
What you
that
were making
following
at a
year.
9 to 5
Yeah.
regular job,
Yeah.
but boss was like,
Yeah.
"Personal trainers are broke."
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
here we are thriving.
Yeah. That's for another conversation on that
Yep.
one for sure. That's something that was always gonna stick to me for the rest of my life. And I remember my old boss told me that. But anyway, back to that point, I remember we couldn't pay our bills, and I told you that day, and I said, "Yeah, remember this moment. Just remember this moment because I want you to remember this with me, and remember the times that we couldn't pay our bills, and remember the times that we can't go anywhere, we couldn't spend much money because we literally didn't have any." And because of that moment, what brought me to this next level, because I would never ever go back to that. Ever. I will never be in the situation where you tell me, babe, we need a second. I will never. And that drove me so much in the next couple of years. And now having the baby, I work even more and I want to make even more money. And it's not about making more money. It's about growth for me.
Yeah.
And if a lot of you guys out there, if you guys own your own businesses, if you don't keep growing, if you don't extend your percentage of growth every single year, like my goal was to make 25% more every year. It doesn't matter if I make a million, 2 million, it don't matter. Like 25% more. What can I do to make more? And because if I don't do that, if I'm comfortable in making just the same amount of money every year, I will not grow. Right? The company will not grow. And so, but I want to say thank you for being a part of that in that moment. And you've seen my lows, you've seen my high. I remember I was making the most money I've ever made like 1 month, last year, and we celebrated. I remember that. Again, you've been through thick and thin, literally, literally, physically, y'all. She's been through thick and thin, hair
Physically,
to no hair,
emotionally.
hair to no hair,
Everything.
everything. And to now we have a couple of properties and a little one and a couple of businesses, and it's been amazing to see. And it all stemmed from that one sentence from someone told me, because that person said all personal trainers are broke. I remember that line. I will always remember that line. And here we are. You know what I mean? And
So
so
crazy.
I'm proud. I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of what we've done. And I've seen the best of you. You've done. I don't think people understand how much you've done for me behind the scene. And this is why I wanted you to be the very, very first episode with me, because I don't think anyone understands what you've done. You were you were such a rock star. I don't think you understand how much that meant for me, especially not having a lot of my families here in Utah as well. So you're the only one that I have my little brother and his wife. But the fact that I have you and I can count on you 24 hours out of the day, literally, like Jess makes my meal every day. She gets my meals done every single day, especially when I'm on prep. She gets the house clean on top of being CEOs of a couple of companies that we own. And you're a super mom. You take the baby everywhere. In fact, when I needed a chore to be done, like for my car oil change, my tires of my car, like you do that.
Yep.
Like I literally just take your car to work so I can focus on me and you can just do all the errands. Um, and that's your job as a full-time mom. And I think we did such an amazing trade-off where I do this and do that, you take care of that, I take care of this. And just so you guys know, guys, like I never ever pay my bills. Ever. Like I don't know anything. I don't know how much money I have in the bank. I don't know any passwords to any bills. If anything happens to you, I'm done. Like I don't know where to go. I don't know where I'm just gonna walk to a random bank somewhere. I'm like, hey, can I take my money out? And the bank's like, you don't have this bank, bro. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
No, you do everything. You do everything from the house, the chores, the bills, payments, everything in my life, even my laundry. Because the only thing that I focus on are my clients, my prep, and then you want me to focus on my bodybuilding, right? And because the least distractions I have in my life, the more I focus on, the more I focus on just being a good coach, being there for my clients, being there for everyone else. And sometimes I'm not there for me, and sometimes I'm not there for you. And that's the conversation that we have a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but you tell me that, hey,
Oh yeah.
your cup is
I
empty.
voice it.
Yeah. And when you tell me your cup is empty, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta fix this like now. And so and you do really good at telling me that when your cup is empty. So thank you for that. And we're gonna continue to get improvement.
We're
Anything,
unfinished.
wrap it up? Okay. But that's it.
Hey, you didn't hear my tagline.
What is it?
I just said we're unfinished.
Oh, yeah, we're unfinished.
Your cup is empty right now.
Your cup is empty right now. Oh, dang. No. we're gonna wrap this up, and thank you guys for listening to our very very first podcast. We're gonna do a lot of Q&As in the future as well. So I
Mhm.
might have you back on in the future. And I'm sure I have a lot of people, clients, and people are just listening have Q&A. So we're gonna have some. Is there a way that people can do Q&As, Colton, somewhere? So we're gonna do Q&As about Jess and Yo's relationship, business. If you guys have any questions about a real estate business, coaching, tax, anything, write-offs. We write off literally everything. But if you guys have any questions, if you guys want to do any Q&As in the future, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to share our experiences on
Oh, yeah.
owning businesses and how to grow that and also being a parent and being in a relationship and how to become a good parent and a good partners as well as we grow. I think that's the most important part. So again, thank you guys for listening. This is our very, very, very first episode. I know it's not perfect. We just went with the flow, and I think it worked out great. Yeah. So I'm happy to have my wife right next to me. Shout out to Colton for recording this, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.